Hello everyone, welcome to episode 18 of Delta City. And in this episode, we will be connecting a harbor to the rest of the city and to the outside through multiple routes. So first, I would be actually doing the metro because metro is going to move the most people, and then also a small bus from the metro station to the passenger harbor. Later, I will be adding them all around when we actually populate the interior of the harbor. So, a bus stop on this side, I would not have placed it, but I placed it. So, I will be removing it actually. And then we'll be expanding the road in this episode to connect the harbor by road, and we won't be making the connection in this episode by road, but we'll be making the whole metro connection and bus connection, and also we'll be adding some extra harbor, and then we'll review our finances a little bit, how we are doing, how we are faring in different places like taxes and stuff. So I'm just calling this district as Harbour, so the naming of the lines will also be somewhat like Harbour to Harbour here. So I'm calling this Harbour entrance to Passenger Harbour. So that's it for the name, Harbour entrance to Passenger Harbour. And next would be actually connecting the metro. But before that, we need to add the bus depots. So having a completely electric fleet is what I think is best for our city. So we reduce the air pollution and noise pollution in most of the parts. So I will be upgrading this to electric, and will also be making these into electric buses instead of the default. I forgot to reduce the bus fare here, but I will do it. I think we should not reduce it because it's kind of a premium thing to get over here. So most of the ships which are going to be here are going to be cruise ships on the, I mean, the passenger ones. And now coming to the metro, we will be connecting this and completing our loop. I'll also be connecting it from the bomb to make the loop a loop, and then we can have an clockwise metro and an anti-clockwise metro, which is going to make the transit much faster for people in our city, and we'll be having much less traffic probably, but that will be in the future. So adding it from here to here, and then we'll connect it with a smoother curve. Need to make it as smooth as possible so that it looks a bit professional. We don't want it to have sharp edges or uneven curves. So deleting few tracks on both the sides should give us an edge in making it a bit more tangential curve. 180 degrees, and I think this is how I finished it. Yep. And on the other side, we actually have the metro station underground, so I had to actually adjust the zoning. Some people had to lose their homes, but it happens in development, and which is something which should not have happened to these poor Sims. So this is actually not a straightforward bill because I had to remove the power lines which are going underneath at some 10 meters. And since this is 20 meters, it is actually going to interfere a little bit. So I removed it, I placed it back, but I did not place it at node, so I redid the power line in here once again, and I made it 40-meter deep so that it won't interfere with our metro or maybe even the drainage and smaller power lines in the future. So here I go, delete it again, and then add it properly from node to node. So bringing this up would be great actually. Instead of going completely underground, if we bring this up here, it should actually be easier to handle. We would be losing some three houses, but they will be getting reconstructed in a bit more simplistic fashion. We'll be having a not so good looking or a not so smooth curve, but it looks a bit better anyway. So I think we can work with that. Since our metro is complete, we'll see what we can do next. Um, Metro, I realized that I haven't actually connected the harbor to the train. So I would be doing that. I will be removing the cargo train, which is going from Meadow Farms to Park Industries, and then I will divert it to this particular harbor so that we can export everything faster through harbor. Think the cargo ships are the way to go for exporting and importing of different cargo. So a line here to here, this should be fine, and giving us it will give us all the needed goods. We will name this Meadow Farms to Harbor. Okay, now we have the harbor ready. Sorry, the railway connection to the harbor ready. We can go for the next part, which is actually making the metro connection. So to loop this, we have to do some adjustments, which is actually dragging the line to the next stop, and then also actually making it a loop, like a complete loop, so that we have it connecting to the initial station and then. So I forgot which lane I was supposed to choose, so I just had a review before making the change, and then I finally do it. And also, since I was using the back and fro for the line as of now, I had to remove the stops carefully so that the loop is not damaged and the trains are going all around. So first I extend it, and then I start doing the loop from this particular subway or metro station. So this goes on the bottom, believe, because this is on the outer side or the upper side on the initial station. So this is going to be a bottom side on this particular station. And here will be the loop one is added because that was moved earlier, so I had to add it. Removing this, and also I will be removing all these inner stops for this particular line so that it becomes a full loop. And I think we'll be adding more metro stations in the future in different places. So here I already added a metro station in one of our previous videos. This is for mixed low density, low rent population actually. And removing this was a bit tricky because it was looping on its own. So carefully I had to remove it, but it was actually showing as incoming and outgoing from that platform. So I was a bit confused, and then I finally realized that it was coming in from the next station. So once I removed it from the next station, it went well. The loop is complete. Now we have the clockwise loop complete. So we have to do the anti-clockwise loop. And also the funny thing is, this particular subway or any other transport, when we actually do these kinds of changes, they follow their lane, which was okay, not funny, which was suppose how it's supposed to be. But the funny thing is, these trains take when they go to the what should I say, yards, they take the passengers with them to the yards, which is kind of weird to actually look at. So later in this video you will actually be seeing it, which is funny. Metro which had around 250 passengers and some dogs was actually going into the railway yard. This is actually a pain to look at because the line's color is green, as well as the subway's color in this overlay is green. So you don't know if you had actually clicked this or that unless you have a look very carefully. So they should have made some different color for the line art, at least for the line tool, instead of this overlay. Here is one stop. We are going to line all around. This should actually reduce the traffic a lot because people would be able to go both sides quite easily, and they wouldn't be having longer wait times. So the strain on metro system will also be reduced quite a bit, in my opinion. Here we are back at our first station, and it's done. So we can just rename this to whatever we want. Since we can just change the name, we'll change it to Harbour Town counterclockwise, which is how it's supposed to be. And we can even change the color to something bit more visible. Instead of green, we can go for something like red, which first we need to change the vehicle assignment, and then we can, if we reduce it to 3 vehicles, I think it should be fine for now. When we have increase in the subway surface, we can do the change. But we don't have enough vehicles, so we need to expand this subway yard. We can't do it just randomly. We need to add subway yards in such a way that it won't interfere with the rest of the tracks over here. So which was a bit not so easy to do, but in the end we did. And you can see some really interesting things over here. As I mentioned earlier, you can see a train with multiple passengers in it getting into the maintenance base in a very weird maneuver. Base is on the ground, so we will do it on the ground. So here you can see I changed the colors. It looks neat. And here, this is the train which had 245 passengers and 33 dogs, which goes into the maintenance bay doing a very, very weird maneuver, which I was not expecting at all. So I think it's better to actually expand this a little bit and then actually add more tracks. We would be adding more yards whenever we are going to do more districts or like different parts of the town, so that we don't put strain on this section. And then we might even have a very large train loop running as local trains all around to make our transit smoother between different towns of our city or different larger districts of our city. So there is a little bit of confusion here for a while, but it gets solved quite soon, or I hope it did after I actually closed it. So you can see there is a jam of trains. The red one, which is going to move anti-clockwise or counterclockwise, is waiting here for letting the passengers board, and the blue line, which is the clockwise line, is actually waiting for this particular train to move so it can come onto the platform and deboard and get on with its actual lane. And we have one more red train or the counterclockwise lane waiting for this particular one to move away so it can come and do its job. So I think we can leave it at its leisure so it will do its work. We might be needing the warehouse soon. According to our track record of exporting using our train, we had an extensive number of uh, cargo stations filling up in the uh, cargo terminals and the cargo transfer stations. So we should be adding warehouses here. Actually thought of adding some farmlands, but I thought it would be not so nice to add farmland in the middle of the harbor, even though we had fertile land. So I don't add any industry or any commercial as of now, but the aim is to make it into a kind of smaller industrial hub. And reviewing the traffic a little bit, we have traffic on that particular station up in the crossings, and this one I actually wanted to remove the road in the Park Industries transfer station, but it is connected very rapidly to something, like very closely to something, so I couldn't do it. So here we have a lot of things out for export, which is really nice actually. We actually don't have the issue with buses not coming into the crossing because we cleared a little bit of traffic and diverted it to meadow farms for the cargo transfer. So it should be fine. And I believe more people would be coming into our harbor directly instead of going around. So I try to add some cargo cranes. I try to add it on the edge, which was not working, but adding the lanes through the uh, gate upgrades is actually going to make it easier. If we add some stacker house and customs to our gate, it will actually increase our productivity as well as our revenue. I hope so. Let's hope people don't bribe our collectors, custom duty collectors. So I tried to add this all around, but I was not able to do it. Then I actually added road. I remembered it from some video which I saw a few days ago that it gets added to the road. So I do that. So having a grade road is going to make the edge of the coast bit more robust. It will give it some support and a proper strong edge. So it was a bit hard to do that here, but I managed to do it somehow. This is actually going to be okay. Oh, I had to move it a little bit, but I think it should be fine now because we are clear of the waterways. And with this done, we have a neater coast on which we can add the cranes, which can act as small harbors when we need them to be. Connecting this here should allow us to have vehicles come in, and connecting one more here so that people can actually go out. We can do the same on the other side later, but we won't be adding any kind of car harbor at that point because the waterway is too narrow. So adding two of these cranes here, so we have two additional platforms for our cargo when needed. I was not able to add medium, and large was not going to fit, so a small passageway is good enough for the cargo ships. There are two sizes of cargo ships, one is smaller and one is jumbo. I would be adding only the smaller one in the upcoming videos, but we'll upgrade them to the larger ones later. Actually, there were too many buses going on this route, so I removed them. Now we have only three buses. So since we have the metro completed and connected, we have inflow of people, but we also need to have a proper inflow of cargo apart from the train. So we connect it by road, and to connect it by road, we need to extend the highways from both these sides, one which is coming from the Meadows district and one which is coming from Meadows farm straight down. So I would be speeding up the video a little bit from a few minutes from now so that you can actually get ahead and see the finished product. our road building activity is done. We need to make the final connections, but for most part, the building is done. We have brought in our connection up to here. So let's just have a look at our taxes. We currently have zero residential tax, and we have 6% commercial tax and 3 to 14% of industrial, which is nice because we have reduced the taxes for industry, especially the food industry, food or pre-food industry, a little bit, and we have increased the tax for products like plastics because we are environmentally friendly. And also the tax for pharmaceuticals is less so that there is easy medicine and we have less people falling ill or dying. So that seems good. And commercial, we have everything set to 6, no issues in there. And coming to our services, we are exporting electricity and gaining around 2 million sims. We have a monthly balance of minus 8.6 million in terms of service. And coming to our raw material industry, we are actually importing timber, and it seems like we have surplus of rest of the stuff. For the grain, we have surplus, and we are not exporting anything. For the livestock, we are exporting a little bit, very small portion of our surplus. There are no exports for the grains, as you can see, and no exports for the for the fish, and even for the vegetables, a little bit of export for the cotton, and no export for oil because we love oil all the time. And coming to mineral ore, we are exporting a small portion, and same for the coal, and even for the stone, which we're exporting in a very small quantity. And coming to processed goods, we have surplus of metal and surplus of steel. So sorry, we are actually importing steel. We have surplus of metal, and concrete is surplus, machinery is surplus, petroleum is surplus, pharmaceuticals is surplus, as well as being exported quite a bit. Chemicals and plastics we are importing. I think the import duties are less compared to our taxes on the plastic industry. Electronics we are able to export, vehicles we are able to export considerably, and most of the things we are importing, including convenience food and beverages. And then we have actual food, which we are having a surplus and are able to feed our population without any issues. And even clothing we are exporting, which is nice, nothing in the planks. And paper we have a surplus, and we are importing a little bit of furniture, which seems okay. Software we are importing. Telecom we nothing to worry about. Banking is okay. Media is okay. We are actually exporting a bit of our media, so people are watching our media. Nice. Entertainment we are importing, and recreation as well we are importing, which means people are going out to have the fun. And looking at our income, we are generating considerably from tax. Our residential tax will actually fall down from here, but I think we'll increase it a little bit further down the line. We actually populated quite a bit thanks to those taxes. And coming to service, we have the parking fees, which is actually giving us most of our money. We have parking fees set to max price in most of the districts, which is giving us plenty of money every month. So we should add some settings to this harbor, especially parking and also cycling. Parking fee should always be 50 sim so that we get maximum from these people. They like to park all around. And I'm doubtful about the urban cycling, which I don't think is should be in the harbor. So we should be restricting it on the roads of the harbor. So thank you.